Going to have a look at the international newspapers now, and Florence is with us again. Unrest in Egypt, of course, continuing to get an awful lot of attention in the papers. Several killed in clashes between opponents and supporters of President Mohamed Morsi.
That's right. It's on the front page of a lot of newspapers across the world, so let's take a quick look at some of them. L'Orient Le Jour, the Lebanese newspaper, says that anti-Morsi opponents don't back down. The Wall Street Journal says that clashes leave scores of injured at Morsi Palace, as it says. And even China Daily is commenting on the unrest in Egypt, this time in the form of a cartoon where you see President Mohamed Morsi frantically trying to guide a camel that represents Egypt. And he comes to this crossroad where there's all sorts of signs indicating which direction people should go in. There it is. And but the signs are blank, so it seems that everyone, including Morsi and the camel, are very confused and terrified about where things are going.
And what about the Arabic press? How are they reacting?
Well, there's an interesting piece in an Egyptian daily called Al Yom Al Sabeh. It's by a writer called Rida Al Salem, and he blames both the Islamists and the liberals for the current situation. He says, sure, the Islamists, they're trying to take all the power, but on the other side, you have liberals who all they do is criticize, and they lay all the blame on the Islamists. They don't take any responsibility on themselves, and they don't put forward any concrete measures. So both sides are responsible for the current unrest. And he says that what the problem is that everyday citizens are the ones that are paying the price. There's also an interesting piece in the Sharq al-Awsat, so the pan-Arab paper that's based in London. It's called "The Constitution Must Come First," and it looks at the Arab Spring in general and draws a balance sheet across the Arab world 2 years after the Arab Spring. So going from Tunisia, Egypt, and Libya, but also to Yemen, Syria, Kuwait, and Jordan. And the article points out that there are various problems in all these countries, and all these problems clarify that one vital issue, and that's the fact that there's the lack of a constitution. And this article pointed out that a constitution is not something that's very present in Arabic culture, and that's the source of all the political chaos. And this article predicts that in the coming era will be one of legal figures, and this is the continuation of the Arab Spring. This is a normal step in the Arab Spring because the Arab Spring is not over yet.
Now, Florence has also pulled out an article she's found in the New York Times. It's looking back at the crisis in Libya. Some rather alarming revelations in this piece.
That's right, and that's that the Obama administration secretly gave its blessing to arms shipments from to Libyan rebels from Qatar. Now, this comes as no surprise. There were always rumors about this, but it's the first time that that officials have, though they're anonymous, have made this clear. Now, it turns out that later Americans grew alarmed because the evidence emerged that Qatar was actually giving over some of these weapons to quite radical Islamist groups. Now, the article is really interesting because it describes just how the U.S. went about supplying these arms to the Libyan rebels. But the whole idea was they didn't want to get involved in a ground war. It's interesting to note, however, that there's no evidence that any of these weapons were used in the attack on the consulate in Benghazi. And this article comes at an interesting time because the U.S. is, of course, considering stepping up its involvement in the crisis in Syria.
Okay, well, it's obviously going to be a big challenge for the next Secretary of State. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton, she's on the way out, of course, in January, but she's on something of a goodbye tour, isn't she?
She is. Goodbye tour. She said goodbye to her buddies in NATO yesterday. And the China Daily takes a look at her legacy and praises all the hard work she's done, especially in Sino-American relations. I don't know if you can see in the bottom there's a drawing of Hillary with a cape and a magic wand spreading her magic across the world. It's a very, very positive article about Hillary in China Daily. It says that she's paved her way for her successor, who will have big shoes to fill. And as far as Sino-American relations go, the next Secretary of State can only go with the flow and promote positive bilateral collaboration. Now, Hillary is also getting a lot of attention in the International Herald Tribune today about what lies next for her. And there's a great cartoon where she says that she needs to take a break, but there are a lot of rumors going around that she might run for president in 2016. So there's this great cartoon where you see Hillary Clinton on a pair of rollerblades being pushed forward by a very enthusiastic crowd. You'll have to go and open in the International Herald Tribune to take a look, but it's quite funny.
Okay, shame we lost that one, but anyway, Florence, thanks very much. Go with the flow, that's what she said. Go with the Florence Villeneuve. Thanks a lot with the international papers.